Big Apple Blitz with Anthony Rivardo and Matt O'Leary.
Hello and welcome into another episode of Big Apple Blitz. What's going on? Matt O'Leary, Anthony Rivardo. Anthony, how's it going, my friend?
Dumpster fires, two ginormous dumpster fires in the same stadium. I don't know if we've ever seen it get this bad simultaneously for both the Jets and the Giants. And that's saying quite a lot. I mean, we've seen some awful years for both of these teams at the same time. I mean, you're thinking 2021. So many bad times for these organizations, but both of them might have finally reached another new rock bottom this past week. The Jets didn't even play this week, and they found a new rock bottom, shocking as that may be. So just utter ridiculousness. There's a lot to discuss today, and hopefully we have some fun along the way.
Yeah, on my end, had a little bit of a scheduling conflict, so I had to push the show back, but kind of glad we did because we got some info on the Jets GM search, which we'll get into in the second half of the show. But I think we got to start with the Giants, who actually played this week. And the last time we spoke, actually had some breaking news on the show, the all-time reaction from Anthony as Daniel Jones got released. But the page was turned to Tommy DeVito. And honestly, I'm sure you feel the same way. There's not much to break down from this game. Like, I don't think we're going to be going in and be like, why did the Giants run defense look horrible in this game? But this just looks like a team that completely quit. And I think that is a bigger concern and the overarching story for this team with, 6 games left to go?
Yeah, I mean, it's too soon in the season to be reaching this point. I feel like we've seen the Giants quit before, and we've seen coaches get fired as a result. Like if we're thinking back to 2021, whatever it was with Joe Judge, they had that disgusting moment with the QB sneak and backed up against their own end zone on like second down or whatever. That was embarrassing enough, but it happened in week 16 or something when Ben McAdoo had the blow up because he benched Eli Manning and hurt the feelings of Giants fans all over the world. That happened in week 15, 16, something like that. It hasn't happened this early before for the New York Giants, which is what my great concern is. Like, it's week 12 and the entire team has pretty much just said, F it, we're not trying anymore. And to the point where players in the locker room are saying nobody's giving 100%. They're questioning Brian Dable's play calling. Malik Neighbors was. So listen, we've seen it get ugly is my point, but I don't think we've ever seen it get this ugly, this fast, and this early in the season, which tells me heads will roll.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. And we got, some people hanging with us today, a lot of the regulars, but wanted to pull up Johnny's comment here. Not that it would get to this part, but let's go. So, Ant, does the Neighbors trade sound good now? Not that the Giants would trade Neighbors, but you brought it up. And his frustration level with not getting any targets in the first half. I saw very few Giant fans who were like, that's a bad look. Receiver can't be saying that. I think pretty much everyone feels like they're done with Dable and this team.
And that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling done with this team. I'm feeling done with the thin veil of BS that he hands us every single week, where he tries to make it seem like it's all good and roses inside the locker room. And I've said this before, I appreciate Malik Neighbors standing up in the media and speaking his mind. He did it several weeks ago, talking about the offense, and people said he was throwing Daniel Jones under the bus and Brian Dable, and everybody got upset. And I said, keep talking. It needs to happen. Somebody needs to say these things. So here he is talking once again, saying important things. And I mean, listen, to me right now, Brian Dable is a dead man walking. Once you see stuff like this happen where players are questioning the effort and you've got Neighbors questioning the play calling and ultimately saying, go ask the head coach about this, I think that's when it's pretty much the writing is on the wall. But to the question of the Neighbors trade, doesn't sound good. Will never sound good. Neighbors is a New York Giant for life, I hope. But my other trade, when I made for Neighbors in my Dynasty 20-man league, which I'm obligated to mention at least once per episode, it looks good, but at the same time, I do wonder Mike Evans and all those picks I gave up, would I be better off? So I don't know, but hopefully the future is bright for Neighbors and the Giants, although right now it seems pretty dim.
It does. And just speaking on, players taking a stand in the locker room, honestly, one of my favorite Giants and someone that I was really hoping the Jets might end up signing free agency this past offseason, Jermaine Luminor, I thought had a really good quote that I wanted to pull up here stating it was embarrassing. It wasn't even out there, but I was able to see different things and watch certain plays. And I personally don't think everyone was giving 100%. Like, one, good on him, because I view him as a emerging leader on this Giants team, especially on the offensive side of the ball when they don't really have a ton there right now. This is how you lose locker rooms and lose regimes. Like, maybe it was salvageable a few weeks ago for Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, but with quotes like this coming out now, and there's still 6 games left, like, this could get so much worse before it gets better. And I just don't know how you come back from that.
Yeah, I mean, with 6 games left, they're on a 6-game losing streak and look like they won't win another game. So that would be 12 in a row to close the season if they legitimately don't win another game. Utterly unsurvivable is really what that is if you're a head coach. But I like the point you brought up about Jermaine Luminor. He is totally, becoming a leader in this locker room, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And I was having a discussion on Fireside Giants earlier today, and I realized there isn't a captain on offense anymore. They don't have one. Andrew Thomas is not in the building. He's out for the year after having foot surgery. He was one of the 2 captains, the other one being Daniel Jones, who they just cut. They literally do not have a captain on offense. So someone has to assume that role. It seems like it is Jermaine Luminor so far. And then defensively, we're talking about Dexter Lawrence as one of the captains. And then Okereke. And Okereke, as we were kind of discussing before the show even began, wasn't even trying yesterday. Had opportunities to tackle running backs and chose not to. So that's one of your captains right there. The biggest problem the Giants have right now is a lack of leadership. And the biggest mistake that they made in the offseason was to value positions over leadership. And what I mean by that is we all watched Sunday Night Football last night. We saw what happened with Saquon Barkley. And I was on record saying that I'm okay with letting Saquon Barkley, walk in free agency due to the positional value argument. But I did say the Giants are going to have a big hole to fill in that locker room. They are going to need to find a leader if they do let Saquon Barkley go. And then on the flip side of things, on the defensive side of the ball, one of the biggest arguments that I made about making sure you retain Xavier McKinney, he is the biggest leader in that locker room on the defensive side of the ball. That was what I said. I said leader doesn't mean that you're a 30-year-old veteran in the NFL. You can be a 24-year-old kid like Xavier McKinney was and be a leader in that locker room, because that locker room is extremely young. All of those players are young. They look up to a guy that they can also relate to and who's really good at his position. Xavier McKinney, 24, still ascending. I'm pretty sure that I said if the Giants let him go, there's a chance he leads the league in interceptions for another team. Look at what's going on. So
he had 2 yesterday.
He had 2 yesterday. He's had 7 on the season. The thing is, with those 2 decisions that they made, Joe Shane decided, we're going to play the positional value game. But then what did they do as a result of that positional value sacrifice? They went and drafted a safety in the 2nd round anyway, so the argument folded on itself. They went and spent a draft pick on a running back and millions of dollars in the offseason to sign one. So the positional value argument went out the window because they opened up massive holes on the roster that they then needed to fill through the offseason. On top of that, they could not fill the massive void of leadership that they lost in letting those two guys go. The McKinney one is the one that's always pissed me off more and will continue to, just because seeing how he's grown. And I was so right with that one. But yeah, the leadership is the biggest problem this team faces right now. And without a head coach who can galvanize this unit, they don't have anything that can do exactly that.
Yeah, I don't know how this gets back on track this year. And you basically said the same thing. Like, you think there's a real chance that they lose out. And as crazy as 12 losses in a row may sound for an NFL franchise, like, I don't look at the schedule. I don't see the win. I really don't, with how they're playing. And the leadership thing is, I think, rearing its ugly head. And you said something before the show started that I'm going to let you say, because it's a great line, but on the tank, your feel on the tank, what it is right now.
I think it's the most blatant and obvious tank job in NFL history. That's what it looks like the New York Giants are doing to me. Like, we've seen teams, oh, are they tanking? Are they not? But then they end up picking up a couple clutch wins down the stretch. This looks like the most obvious tank job. I've never seen it this blatant. Like, you cut your starting quarterback, which, yes, I agree with. I think it was time to move on from Daniel Jones. But you go straight to the third stringer, which I said last year indicated that the Giants were trying to tank, but they weren't fully bought into it. When they skipped over Tyrod Taylor, who was healthy, they decided to go Tommy DeVito. I think they knew that they were trying to lose a couple extra games before they eventually put Tyrod Taylor back into the lineup. But this time around, I mean, nobody's trying. Not a single player is giving it their best effort. They're actively choosing not to put the ball into the hands of their best playmaker in Malik Neighbors. And they're going with the third string over the second string that they paid $5 million. And out of all of this, like, you think of a tank job, that means that the GM and the head coach have to be in on it together, right? So you would assume that they keep their jobs the following year. There's no way anybody survives this. It is such a disgusting mess.
No, it really is. It's tough. It's a tough look. I don't think you can survive. Like, in my head, I was trying to think of like the devil's advocate argument for, well, you could let Joe Shane take his own quarterback, and has he earned that right? I don't know if they have. And I know this year they were putting us in a really tough spot, but a lot of this also feels like their own doing. So I'm not going to really have much sympathy if they both end up losing their job at the end of the year.
I won't have any sympathy. I'm actually at the point where I want to clean house, and I don't want to just fire the GM and the head coach. I've seen a lot of Giants fans say, oh, if you fire Joe Shane, could the Giants potentially go in-house? Could they promote Brandon Brown? And I had to go on a rant today on Fireside Giants, and I was like, guys, I think Brandon Brown is awesome. He's the assistant general manager for Jets fans who don't know. I'm like, I love the guy. I think he's extremely smart, and I think he is going to be an excellent general manager at one point in his career, but it won't happen with the New York Giants, and they should not hire anybody in-house to do any job. There should be zero promotions. If they're going to clean house, they need to purely clean house and get every single brain and set of eyes out of the building and restart with a completely clean slate. I don't want any holdovers. I want a new organization, because that's the problem here. The organizational structure is dysfunctional. The culture is a mess. All of it has gone to shit. So you have to replace every single thing. You got to even go down to the training staff, I think, and wipe them out. The nutrition staff. New organization, get rid of everybody. And I'm sorry, I know I'm advocating for the mass firings of hundreds of jobs, and I do feel bad about that. But at the end of the day, this is a business. The New York Giants are a business entity. And when a business gets this bad for this long, you have to go with wholesale changes. You have to sell out your inventory and replace it with new inventory. That's where the New York Giants are. So if they keep Dable and Shane, whatever, we'll see if it can turn around after 1 year. I doubt it. But if they do decide to get rid of one of those guys, not only get rid of both of them, get rid of everybody.
I love it. I love Dano's comment here too, saying, or sage the locker rooms. And can they sage the Jets one too? Like, can you do both the home and visitor locker room? Because I know, like, it's depending on who's, if it's the Jets or the Giants, that's home. That's the one that they use. Maybe the field too with the turf monsters. They just, how about blow up MetLife and start over? Like, let's start construction on a new building right now and get going.
Don't get me started on MetLife Stadium after I just took a trip to SoFi Stadium. That place is gorgeous, dude. Oh my God. Like, that was on my bucket list when they built that stadium. I was like, man, that place looks beautiful. I got to go there one day. I went. I finally checked it off my bucket list. My God, it blows MetLife out of. You haven't been there, right?
No, I haven't, but it looks so great on TV. I can only imagine in real life.
And TV, like I said, TV doesn't do Justin Herbert justice. You gotta watch him play in person. Doesn't do SoFi Stadium any justice either, because that place is incredible. Like, when you walk through the concourse and you go to the team shops. First of all, the whole thing is outdoors, which you didn't even realize. It's just one giant awning. There's no doors around it. So you get the nice breeze. The food stands have excellent food. There's different bars and lounges. Place is awesome. MetLife Stadium, dump. I hate it. I can't stand that place. There's no good environmental aspect of MetLife Stadium. Just blow it up, like you said, and start over.
It's just like, it's corporate. It's the whole thing is gray. Like, it's just like if you were to create a stadium in Madden. Like, I just feel like that's like the generic template. And the Jets and Giants are like, yeah, that's good. Like, we'll just go with that one. Like, no, you can customize it. And they're like, no, we're gonna go with the template.
Yeah, that is what it feels like. I just don't get it. Like, Yeah, they got the Pepsi Lounge or whatever the hell over there. And, I like seeing the Giants trophy room. That's cool that they've got that on display. But even that is really small and hard to walk through. I don't know if you've ever been inside of there. So just overall, MetLife Stadium, disaster considering how much money they put into that and how much money other teams have put into their stadiums that are 10 times better.
Our guy Justin saying this is a results business. We need all new everything. Good riddance to Dable and Joe Shane. Goodbye to everyone in the package as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind
Spot
of, echoing what I was saying. So I love it, Justin. But I'm going to actually take that comment a step further, and I'm going to drop my first hot take of the offseason right now in November.
And it is the season, but the off season. Okay, I like this.
The offseason hot take. In season, I'm going to give it. This is my first offseason hot take.
Okay.
There is one man to save the New York Giants, and it is Bill Belichick. I know Giants fans are going to hate to hear that, but I'm telling you, look at this. Look at the way this thing is constructed. That comment from Justin, if you could pull that back up.
Yes.
He's 100% right.
Yes, this one.
This is a results business. We need all new everything. And I get that, Belichick isn't all new everything, but I mean, he hasn't been in the building in 30 years. So he is all new to me, and he would bring in all new staff. And here's my point here. This is a results business. These players, they don't vibe with these new coaches. They don't care. They don't like when Dable came in. Sure, he got the buddy relationship with the players for a little bit, but it went south, and we kind of knew that it would. When you talk about results business, you talk about buying into a culture and resetting an entire organization. You talk about Bill Belichick bringing 6 Super Bowl rings in there with him, saying, I've got better results than anybody. All of you are going to follow me because look at what happens when you do. Look at all the players that have played for my team, went elsewhere and got ginormous contracts and becoming even worse after they left me. So you want to keep playing for me. And look at how many coaches love to work for me because they all become head coaches down the line. You want real talent in this building? Go with the best talent that there is. Right the wrong of 30 years ago. Should have hired Belichick. Hire him now. I like, this is my, again, I know it's way too soon to be talking about these things, but if the Giants are going to blow it up, I want them to bring him in. Screw it, man. Like, because you know what it does? At the very least, you elevate the floor of this team, and the floor just keeps getting lower and lower, sinking to the bottom depths of the ocean every single year. And I don't know how it keeps getting worse, but I know that one person in the world will elevate that floor. So F it, bring him in. He will change the culture. The Giants have tried so many times to get the Belichick way, the Joe Judge hiring, this, that, and the third. Just get him. I know that's what you guys want to do, so get it over with and just sign him.
Johnny says, so Rex for the Jets and Bill for the Giants. I think that's where this is trending, man. I could see it.
It could happen. We could just step into a time machine and, end up with the past and the future. I mean, listen, I know it's probably extreme for me to already be getting to that point, talking about new head coaches. It's not even Thanksgiving. I get it. And like, that's why I said it's a hot take. But I mean, really, though, there is an obvious cultural problem in this organization. And I think of the way that John Mara is involved with things. I don't have a problem that he's involved because he doesn't necessarily dictate what the GM does, and he doesn't prevent them from doing anything. But I also do think there's something to be said about the meetings of minds not having enough disagreement and there being too much synergy, and I think that there's one guy who would just tell John Mara, no, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this, and nobody's going to like it. And that's fine because I'm going to do it my way. And his way is the best way, as we've seen for 2 decades. So that's where I'm at. I'm so sick and tired of this team. Like, the only thing that they can do, like hiring Mike Vrabel doesn't do that for me. Hiring Ben Johnson doesn't do it for me because it's another unknown. There's the only guy that I know what I'm getting at this point, because I felt like I know what I was getting with Dable. I was going to get his excellent offense, worst red zone offense in the league, worst offense in the NFL. At least I know with Bill Belichick, I'm getting a brand new culture in this building to finally fix the dysfunction in the front office, the training staff, the coaching staff, everywhere. And that's what we need. Clean sweep, fix the dysfunction.
And at least the defense will play hard. Like, you're not going to have to worry about guys quitting on the defensive side of the ball with Bill in there. Like, I don't know if you want him making the personnel decisions, but I don't think guys are going to be quitting on him, at least.
Yeah, and that's the argument that we always run into when we talk about Belichick in the Giants community. Oh, he can come, but I don't want him to be the GM. And it's like, you guys know that there were general managers for the Patriots. Like, he wasn't just the GM. There was a collaborative process. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm fine, dude. Just carte blanche. Give him whatever the hell he wants. I don't care. Just get it over with. Like, something needs to change. And I think that's the way to change it. But it'll be a long offseason discussion for sure, whether it be him or any of the other head coaches. But I think right there, that comment from First State Jets really summarizes my point the best. Players follow W's. That is absolutely what I'm trying to say is I know the players will follow Bill Belichick because of the W's, and they will put up with his antics because he was successful. Players only care about success. Absolutely true. All of these guys are just pissed off. They're sick and tired of losing. Bring in the guy with the most wins ever, and I guarantee you they will fall into line, and this operation will be functional again.
Love that. Well, another question for Johnny from Johnny Boy, not Giants related, but then we'll get to the Jets. He goes, question for Matt. What is the holiday drink of choice last year? Last year was the Jack Frost with the cinnamon. This year. Okay. So I don't know if we've talked about this on this channel, but last year I gave out the drink of the year. Johnny Boy was big on it and drank it throughout the whole entire holiday season. It's Winter Jack with apple cider and a cinnamon stick. This year, completely different genre, but elite. So I've been making homemade Bailey's Irish cream and putting it in a hot cup of coffee. So I've been going warm drink this year. It's really easy to make. I could send Johnny over a recipe, but it's condensed milk, instant coffee, Irish whiskey, and there's one and a little bit of Hershey syrup, I believe. And then you mix that all together, and voila, you got yourself a nice batch of homemade Baileys. Pour that in a nice hot cup of coffee, and that is the winter drink of 2024-25.
Yeah, you'll have to send that my way, the recipe. You got to send that to me too, because that sounds awesome. I love a good seasonal drink. Mine that I make every year, maybe I should switch it up every year like you do. That sounds fun to find a new one. But I make this one. It's apple juice, caramel vodka, and cinnamon whiskey, and that's pretty much it. It's just a little like kind of spiked apple. Oh, and the apple cider, like a hard cider as well. So it's like an apple juice, good. Caramel, cinnamon kind of blend. It's pretty good. I'm a big fan of it. It goes down easy on Thanksgiving when you're watching the Giants get massacred.
Usually that's makes the pain a little bit easier.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into those Jets. Speaking of pain, let's switch and get over into those New York Jets. As the GM search is officially underway, we talked last week about Joe Douglas getting fired. We have reports of Aaron Rodgers allegedly not wanting to get a scan and playing injured. And then today we have the New York Jets hiring the 33rd team, which includes Mike Tannenbaum, the Jets' former GM, which a lot of people are jumping on that part of it, which I get. Like, things didn't end well there from Tannenbaum. But the part of this that is a little exciting to me, Rick Spielman was a big part of the commander search last year, and obviously they got a lot right last year. So I'm optimistic. Am I setting myself up to get hurt, or should I have some optimism here with the Jets hiring some outside people to help them out here?
I like the idea of hiring outside people to get the job done. I just don't know about these outside people because it feels like a conflict of interest, with Mike Tannenbaum being a former New York Jets GM. I think that's where I kind of take out a place with the 34th team. I think
that. It wouldn't take me 6 years. It wouldn't take me and Anthony 6 years to get the Jets back on track. I think we could do it.
I actually started last night a spreadsheet. I'm going back through the archives of Fireside Giants and finding all of my takes on the Giants, and I'm going to stack them up where I was right, where I was wrong, and then stack it up with the Giants and what they did in return. I honestly think that going back with my takes, re-signing McKinney, drafting certain players, skipping over other players, I think they'd be a playoff team right now. So I am the 34th team. That's right. So are you.
Let's go.
You and me, we're going to get the job done. Somebody needs to hire us. But no, seriously, I back to the Jets topic. I just think that the conflict of interest is there, and that's what concerns me. It feels like Woody Johnson relying too much on people he already knows.
Oh, and that I think is the fair criticism of this, is that you're relying on someone with Tannenbaum that you already kind of know already. But again, like for me with Spielman, he had the proven success in this role just last year, and I'm hoping that this is kind of just like, hey, here's what some certain hiring trends are, and here's what people around the league are saying or think. Like, more like it's better than Woody doing this on his own. Is my point. Like I thought there could have been a world where Woody Johnson has to run off to the UK in February, let's say, and he's like, we got to get this done. I think we're going to bring back Rex and give Rex full autonomy. Like he's going to get the GM job and the coaching job because I know him and I love him and that's it. But at least like maybe they do end up landing on Rex because Tannenbaum hired Rex the first time. But the point being, they're getting an outside and an actual football voice, which is what everyone's been asking Woody Johnson to do. So I'm going to give Woody credit for doing that.
Yeah, and I think that's fair to give him credit, but I mean, like you said, you just highlighted it right there. This could just result in, all right, we're just going to go with Rex Ryan, which I said that I'm okay with. That was my hot take last week or on Thursday, and I said that I don't think that's the worst idea in the world, but at the same time, I just have to worry about the conflict of interest, but I do think that this is a step in the right direction for sure. And I think at the very least, we're going to see some wholesale changes in the organization as a result of this. And that's necessary. Similar to what I was talking about with the Giants, wipe the slate clean, get rid of the dysfunction. I think that hiring an outside party helps accomplish that goal. In fact, back to the Giants, I wish that they would do something very similar to this and hire an outside party to do an evaluation and move forward with a GM search. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, this is a step in the right direction, but you know what? Some plans sound a lot better than they're executed. So I got to see what the execution actually looks like with this plan.
The one tough part was, so there's already a little bit of a snafu. On the site, the 33rd team also does they do content. So they had an article after Joe Douglas went out and they're like, here's 5 names that the Jets should consider for the job. And then Adam Schefter tweets it out like this is actually the 5 people that they're going to send to Woody Johnson. And then they have to delete the article. It's like, okay, we're already off to a hot start here.
Yeah, I noticed that because when he tweeted out, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Let me read who's on this list. Page not found.
404 error. Yeah, I did the same thing.
I want to know who was on the list though. I do. I'm very interested.
It was I could tell you in a second. Someone had it. I'm gonna pull it up. 2 names that I really like are on there. Which is Mike Borgonzi from the Chiefs and Ray Agnew from the Lions. But here's the full list. It is some internal options, which please skip over all those. Ed Dodds from the Colts, Borgonzi from the Chiefs, Jeff Ireland from the Saints, and Agnew from the Lions.
Yeah, there's some hot names in there for sure. I mean, like you're looking at Chiefs and Lions makes a lot of sense. Those are some great teams. So want to pull from those front offices, but I don't know. I feel like it needs to be a really wide net that gets cast here.
Yeah, that's what I said in my video today covering this. I'm like, you're going to hit on all the cliches here, but you have to cast the wide net, bring in a wide range of people. Like, please just don't pass this along to Phil Savage now, who's been here forever too. Like, they can't just do another internal hire.
No, I think that would just be a absolutely terrible mistake and error. Like I said with the Giants and like I'm saying with the Jets, you need to just wipe the slate clean and bring somebody new in. I think it's very, very important. So if they go with an inside guy, I think that's just going to feel like an inside job to tank the rest of the organization as it always has felt. So yeah, no, it's got to be a wide net that gets cast.
Dano says, I need someone who will pull a player who isn't performing regardless of the backup. See Greg, meaning Zerline, Michael Clements, Zach Wilson, Javon Kinlaw. List is a mile long. Those are all good recent examples. I don't know. I was tweeting out because remember we did the what's his name? Brick Johnson is now the GM of the Jets. I was tweeting hoping that either Brick or Woody would see it. I was asking for Javon Kinlaw and Michael Clements to sit maybe in favor of some of the UDFAs that made the roster.
Yeah, listen, I think discipline, kind of what he's alluding to here, somebody who will sit players. Discipline is kind of hard to find right now in the NFL. I think there's a lot of teams that handle it well, and there's a lot of teams that really struggle with it. And the Jets and the Giants are 2 teams that struggle with it. They don't know when to bench certain players. They don't know how to evaluate their own talent as well. I think that's the first and foremost problem for both of these teams. Evaluating the talent in-house can sometimes be a lot trickier than evaluating the talent out of house. And that seems to be what's really gotten in the way of these 2 New York teams in recent years. Has caused players to be on the field more than they should be, has caused players to not get benched when they should be. got to find some guys who not only have the ability to evaluate college players, but evaluate the players that are currently on the roster.
This one made me laugh. We've been popping Dano up a lot today, but stick with Brick 25. You're going to get a 5-minute timeout if you keep talking crazy like that, Dano. Old Brick is going to go be a linebackers coach somewhere, maybe under Robert Saleh. I bet Saleh stays in.
Is he talking about Ulbrich or is he talking about Brick Johnson?
Oh, shit. He could be talking Brick Johnson. This could be a double whammy. Never mind. My apologies, Dano. I might have called you out for an Old Brick take, but maybe this is actually a Brick Johnson take.
Which is worse?
I don't know. I can't have this franchise be running by an 18-year-old. That is just not great.
What about the Brick and Brick power duo? They stick with both Brick.
No. No more Brick. No Brick 25. We are not bricked up in 2025. Flaccid 2025 is the line.
Flaccid. That's crazy. I love it though. That's crazy.
While we're on the Jets, we haven't mentioned your thoughts on the quarterback maybe playing through injury and not getting scanned. I talked about that in a video this morning. I think he's Rodgers kind of damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. If he checks out and gets scanned and is going to have to miss time, then the narrative is going to be like, oh, he's not going to push through the injury, or he quit on the team when things got tough, whatever. But if he's not playing well and doesn't get the scan and they're losing, then he's selfish and just wants to stay on the field. So it's kind of a rough spot for him. At the same time, just get the scan. Why are we prolonging this? If he was really that badly hurt with the hamstring after week 4, if he sat for 4 weeks and Tyrod started their next 4 games, I don't know. They lost all those 4 games anyway. Maybe you get Rodgers healthy back at some point.
Yeah, I think there's a level of insecurity there that if Tyrod Taylor were to step in, he wouldn't lose the job. I don't think I think Taylor would outperform the way that Rodgers looked, and so they can't pull the guy who's performing better just because Rodgers is a future Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? I think if he goes to the bench, he's staying there. So I think that's probably the issue, why he refuses to go to the bench. For what it's worth, in my 20-man Dynasty League, I have picked up Tyrod Taylor and placed him on my bench because I anticipate that he will be starting sooner rather than later. So I'm ready for some Tyrod Tutties. I love Tyrod Taylor. I think he is a great person and player, and I think that right now he is the better option for the New York Jets. I think that benching Aaron Rodgers would be the smart move. No one's going to stand up to him and make that decision, I don't think. It's going to require him getting his scan and being forced to miss time. But again, I don't think he's going to get that scan because he knows if he gets sent to the bench, he's going to lose that job for good.
Yeah, I see the point that you're making there with, if they do turn it over to Tyrod and then he plays better, then what? At this point with the 6 games left, I almost wonder from Rodgers' perspective, as I know there's been some conflicting reports, but I think it'd be hard for Rodgers to come back in 2025. Why are you risking injury more by playing? It feels like he's playing like he's one hit away from being done with how he's moving around and how he's getting the ball out so quickly. So I don't know what benefit he has by, going out there and trying to play through it.
Yeah, and I think that there's then a larger discussion that you need to have about Rodgers, and I think maybe he's trying to protect his legacy in some way. Maybe he's trying to make sure that he puts some decent things on film that, in a way show, hey, I'm not the problem. The Jets are the problem. Another team should sign me next year. I think that there's a lot that's factoring into it. And again, I think a lot of it has to do with insecurity. I think Rodgers is a bit insecure in the position that he's in. And as a result, he's now kind of holding the Jets hostage in this way. So I don't know. They're headed for divorce. And I think we thought it was going to be the perfect marriage. I think we all got duped. But, sometimes there's a larger than life character that enters the building, and his larger than life attitude can really taint the building. And I think that's what we're seeing.
Dano's comment I like here. He says, long story short, I want Aaron until we're mathematically eliminated. I watch people like Zach for too long. Smarts over healthy. So I would say the brain is still mostly there. He feels a little gun shy. at times, and like he's not seen the field well. At least on tape, that's the impression that I get watching the all 22. He's like a little hesitant at time, but still at the end of the day, um I get it. If they were turning the page over though to like a Tim Boyle, who by the way was signed to the Giants roster that we haven't discussed, your thoughts on that for a hot second? You love that or hate it?
It was necessary after deciding to remove Daniel Jones from the organization. Needed another guy in. F it. Might as well throw the guy that threw the ugliest pick six ever on a Hail Mary. Yeah.
If you want the tank, start Tim Boyle. Anyway, turning the page over to Tyrod, I think changes it slightly. Where it's not like you're having to go to one of the quarterbacks the Jets rostered last year, like Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, or Tim Boyle. Like Tyrod's at least a professional, and I think could play at a replacement level, like 25th best quarterback in the league level.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I'm such a Tyrod fan. Like I have been for so long, and I think he's so underrated. And I think at the very least, what he's going to do is generate explosive plays for your offense. Like he's going to throw those effort balls, and they're not necessarily just going to be back shoulder fades on 4th and 10. They're going to be more like a calculated deep post between two safeties on a 2nd and 10, which makes a lot more sense. So the things that he does, I think, are necessary for a team to reboot and reset, which is what we saw for the Giants down the stretch last year, and which is why I think that he is the right move to put in for the Jets right now, because some of these players who are just running cardio and not being utilized are going to get sick and tired of that, sour on the organization, and want out. And you don't want that to happen. So I think you really do need to get the quarterback in who's going to get the ball into the hands of those playmakers properly, because right now I don't think Aaron Rodgers is doing that.
No, I don't think so either. I really don't, which is wild. Like I didn't think we'd be having to talk about Aaron Rodgers potentially in some ways holding this team back, like either last year or going into this year. That's not what I thought this season was going to go. I do find it weird that we have heard absolutely nothing about Jordan Travis this year. Like, I don't even know if he's alive. Like, they don't show him on the sidelines. We don't hear any updates like from practice or any, not that he's practicing, but just like, is he there? What's going on? So I know that like some people's dream is like, hey, play Jordan Travis down the stretch. I don't think he's healthy, but I haven't heard from the guy either.
Me neither. I'll hit up some friends. I know like way too many people that know the guy personally, so I'll ask them. And
you're going to be my source. I know sources are supposed to be secret, but can we do some digging on that? See if he's okay.
Try my best. We'll see what I can do.
I love that. I think that's about it for both these teams. I really don't have it in me right now to be like, yeah, what do the Jets have to do this week against Seattle, and what about the Giants on? I forgot they're playing on a short week this week on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, don't care. I'm not even going to watch it. I'm just going to eat my turkey.
Yeah. I think I'll be driving from my side of the family to the fiance side of the family during most of that game. So I'm not crazy upset that I'm going to be missing a chunk.
Yeah. I mean, if I don't watch a second of that game, I'll probably be happier. So screw it. What's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
This is going to come off as very stereotypical, but since we are the Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets QB1, I feel like it's okay for me to say it's the mashed potatoes. Go figure. The Irish guy likes the mashed potatoes, but yes.
I'm a big stuffing guy when it's made right.
Okay. All right. Stuffing solid. Will you eat the turkey, or are you fully like turkey overrated? It sucks.
I love turkey.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think turkey gets too much hate. Like it's not as good as like steak or any, or I even take chicken over turkey, but come on, we're doing the turkey, once a year? We can have some turkey.
I agree. I love turkey, especially when you put some stuffing on it and you have it all in one go. Fantastic. And I'm a big fan of pumpkin bread.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
That's a heater.
My mom used to make for Thanksgiving morning pumpkin bread with chocolate chips inside. Now we're talking.
Yeah, that's a banger.
We need this. So offended or thought it was awesome, the Baker Mayfield celebration?
Well, I don't think it was awesome. I'm not offended either. I said on Twitter that was disrespectful, and people were like, "Oh, shut up, stop whining." I'm like, I'm not whining. Like objectively, he was trying to disrespect them. Like that was his goal, was to celebrate disrespectfully. It was disrespectful. I'm not personally disrespected by it. I think that the problem with the celebration is that the Giants didn't feel disrespected by it. He was disrespecting them. It should have lit a fire underneath the New York Giants. They should have gone out there and tried to beat him up and score some actual points. Instead, they just rolled over and died after he did the celebration. So that was the problem. The problem isn't the Selly. Selly's fine. Didn't love it, but it's fine. I just really hated the way that the Giants have zero fight left in them to even respond to it.
They had no answers, unfortunately. But that'll do it for us on this one. Make sure to subscribe to my channel or Anthony's channel for your Jets and Giants coverage. That'll do it. We'll talk to you next time.